That's my anime look.
That's your impersonation of me. Welcome to Burch and Burch, the podcast between me and my father, us father-daughter people that we are. We're business partners and also the best of friends. And most of the time, shut up. Every single time I say anything positive about the two of us, he goes, I mean, most of the time. Usually. We'll be with clients and they'll be like, how is it working together? And he'll be like, awesome. Most of the time. And at this point, that's just, and then we both start laughing and the client's so confused as to why that was that funny. It's like, yeah. So anyway, here we are. This week, we're talking about death. So buckle up, ladies and gentlemen. This is what you get.
I wore black in honor of today's podcast.
I wore a blazer. And
they both start with B. And it's kind of blackish blue, isn't it? Those both start with B. I can't tell what color that is.
It's navy. It's navy for sure. Navy.
Let's call it blue because it starts.
Okay. I also wore great earrings. Look at these. Look at these works of art. But they're really painful, so I have to take them out while I have my headphones on.
Well, that's interesting. They're like weird torture devices then.
Yeah, like a subtle torture device. It's like death by paper cuts. Okay, so Dad is the one who thought of this topic, and then we had this really long conversation about it, and I'm so excited. I'm so excited to dive into this because it started with you thinking about the death of 2020. And then you started asking some really incredible questions about how we all deal with death and change and all that.
Well, yeah. I guess that's a good place to start. It's interesting how, or I guess I find it interesting, being the age that I am and having a lot of people pass away. I guess I kind of feel lucky to still be here. But
yeah, well, you had a lot of death in your childhood.
Yeah, when I was younger, but that had a lot to do with having a stint where I spent a lot of time with my grandparents. So that too doesn't matter. Let's not get into that.
When you were 13. Okay.
Yeah, let's not get into that stuff. But anyway, so 2020 was just a really crappy year all the way around, and I first thought about, I'm glad it's dead. It died itself off right on time as promised. The good thing about years, they die on schedule. In 2021 starting off fresh, and then that made me think about all of those experiences when people died and how it makes you reflect not only on the life of the person that passed away, but also on all the people that surrounded it and how they dealt with it and what they thought about and how long they ruminated on it. And some people get stuck in that. They get stuck and they look back and they keep looking back. And others are somewhere in the middle, and others are just very forward thinking. But it's been a rough year, and thinking less about 2020 itself as a bundle and thinking less about one particular personality that I think most people would consider to be at the crux of a lot of that frustration.
Oh, yeah.
I'm really perplexed by the division, and I wonder how we're going to react.
What do you mean? You're perplexed by the division in our country?
Mm-hmm. People.
And as we change presidents, you're wondering how that's going to react?
Yeah, everything's changing. So
I think what the most interesting thing that when we were talking earlier about this, you were talking about how people mourn for people in their lives who die that brought almost only horrific things.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason for that was a really interesting point, because it's when you mourn in general, at least in part, and I think in large part, you end up mourning the death of some part of you, because whoever is leaving your life in whatever way.
Part of who you were and part of the experience, because
Right.
your history and experience is part of you, even if it was terrible.
Yeah, and I think yes, and we are humans are so inherently social. We define ourselves so socially, like we can't develop without social. Like we are so social that even our definitions of ourselves come from our relationships with other people in our lives. Whether or not we acknowledge that is true. And so even when you have a bad relationship, when it disappears, there's so much sadness around that. And I think it's this like sudden uncertainty of at least that part of who you are. I don't know.
Yeah, and I don't know.
A lot of people who really, really hate Trump, I think there's probably a weird part of that those people who are like,
do you
I'm
think that's a
losing part
habit
of me.
where they that sense of angst on either side? Doesn't matter. We don't have to pick on one side. That sense of angst has become a habit, and they're used to feeling that way, and they want to continue feeling that way, so they'll find something else to feel that way.
I think maybe. I don't know. I think that we really love having an enemy, right? It feels so good, and it's clarifying, and also you get you get so many friends out of having a shared enemy and something shared to hate.
It's like putting a jersey on. Once upon a time, you had made the comment that you loved sports. What'd you call it?
I do.
A sports affiliation, because you can not know anybody at all.
Yes.
But if you're both Yankees fans and you both have Yankees jerseys on, you can see each other in the subway, opposite ends of the subway car, and you're like,
beautiful. It's so beautiful. It's a reason to connect with people, and this
it's eerily
comfortable level. Yeah. You got a shared, but in order for that to be true, you have to have a shared enemy, which is every other
Isn't that
team.
weird?
So yeah. Anyway,
so I got a question for you.
Oh, okay. I was going to segue to forward thinkers, but go ahead.
Yeah. No, I want to. So when it comes to you, think of, without talking about what it might be, think of a loss, whether it was a death or a loss of a friendship or a relationship or something.
Okay.
And how much, think about the transformation between how much time you spent thinking about it after it's over, and the transition to thinking forward again.
I don't think they're mutually exclusive.
No, I think, but I wonder if there's a transition. It's like there's an equal amount of weight of energy.
Okay.
That it starts out heavy on the mournful
side
decreases, and then it goes to the forward-thinking future side.
Yes.
Do you think you mourn quickly, or do you think it takes you a long time?
I don't know if you ever stop mourning, but I think that there's it's kind of like, how earlier we were talking about complaining, and how the main reason I don't complain very much is because
your mother never complains.
My mother never complains, and we were talking about that. And she was saying that I didn't complain either. And I said, yes, it's because when I complain, I feel so ashamed, not because I'm complaining, but because I'm now hearing myself have a terrible perspective. Because even the worst things that happen in my life, there's always something to be grateful for. Like I always get stronger. I can connect with more people because we've shared the hardship. Like there's always some way to be grateful for the thing. And if I'm complaining instead of taking it on, then it just makes me really
that's not common. I don't think it'll be interesting if people comment about that, because do you think it's common when you're complaining to hold yourself accountable and think, because I don't think the way you feel is common.
Well, maybe. I just don't. I think that I hear "don't complain" a lot as advice, right? Like just don't complain. No one likes a complainer. Don't whine, right? But it's not. I don't think the advice actually means hey, have these negative thoughts, but keep them bottled up. I think it really means, hey, have these negative thoughts, process them, notice them, and go, okay, cool. That was my first reaction, but I don't want to live a life where I feel like the victim. I want to live a life where I feel like the hero. I want to live a life where I feel like I can create my life. And the one thing I can control is in here to some degree, at least. So, that's
So
where I
you're
get
saying that
you're
you're
all
trying. Go ahead.
no, you couldn't say your sentence.
You're saying you're deciding. You're trying to recognize, get a grip on the landscape, and then deciding your direction. Am I hearing that right?
Yeah, and so yes. So I'm saying that your emotions are not controllable initially, but very controllable after the fact. Like they're kind of a balance there. So I mentioned that now in response to your question about mourning. I think that's what I do when I lose a person or one of the other things that you've listed. I've lost, when that happens, I think I mourn it. I journal. I write out how I feel very honestly. And I look at that and I go, oh, okay, that's how I feel. And then I find what to be grateful for in it. So I don't ignore the pain and I don't pretend like it's not there. And I don't pretend like the bad stuff is not bad. I just go, okay, I acknowledge that's totally true, but I don't want to feel like a victim. So what's good in this? What can I be grateful for? What am I learning from this? So I think with mourning, even it's like, yeah, there's so much sadness and that never goes away. Simultaneously, you can be so empowered by like, I'm going through such a rough thing right now, or I'm losing this person. And how would I like to respond? How do I want to grow from this? What can I learn from this? What can I be thankful for?
That's a mature perspective, but I don't think a lot of people feel that way. And I struggle with that. I'll get caught up in the emotion of what's going on and then just crank it out like a do nothing machine and just repeat the same thoughts over and over again. And it's weird how that works out.
What do you mean? It's weird. You mean like
well, what you're saying is basically you're on a merry-go-round of emotion when it first happens. Then you get off the merry-go-round and you notice what it felt like to be on it. Wow, it went around really fast. It made me really dizzy. Then I got really nauseous. I don't want to be on the merry-go-round anymore. So I decided to be off the merry-go-round. And some people get off the merry-go-round and they're like, that really makes you dizzy when you go around on the merry-go-round. I remember I grabbed the hold of the handlebars and I went around on the merry-go-round and then I got really sick. And it's like, why did I get back on there? Well, I did. And I got back on it again. And then they just rotate. They relive that experience over and over and they never get out of that.
Yes.
It's not until some other outside experience that they don't logically create. It's not until something redirects their attention, life continues on and something else grabs their attention, pulls them out of it.
There are definitely
That's
people
different
who
than when
there are people who look for the next dramatic thing. They're like, in order to get out of being consumed by this, I need to be consumed by something even more so.
Next dramatic thing.
Yeah, you kind of. But I don't think you ever get off. I mean, merry-go-round's kind of a bad analogy and kind of a great analogy because that is how it feels. But you can't get off entirely. It's not like you hop off entirely or like, I no longer feel what I was feeling. I think you kind of split in two and you're aware that all right, half of me is still riding that stupid merry-go-round. But at least, Yeah,
well, I think, okay. So if you had to guess, this is a terribly hard question to answer, but I want
Oh my God, this is so intense. Okay.
If you had to guess,
I feel like I'm on the hot seat.
how many hours, days, weeks, months would it take for you to be able to look forward and think about the future again, rather than stay where you're at? And I know that it's a transition, but you could say within this certain time, I'm usually back.
I think it's really quick. Normal. I think it's really quick. I'll think about it on and off for a long time, but I will force myself to see something forward thinking at the funeral.
So days.
I mean, less than that.
2 days?
Probably. It depends on the severity of the thing. If you died,
12 minutes.
If you died, no problem.
Most of the time.
Most of the time.
Okay.
Um,
Well, the reason I asked that is
I
let's
think
go.
I've made it a habit now. Is what
If
I'm
we go
saying.
back to what I'm wondering now is about testing myself, and then now that we're in the new year,
Yes.
when I talk about 2020, if I do it with some emotion or something I didn't like or whatever, which actually was part of the title, is because we've seen a lot of death in 2020 thanks to
Right.
COVID-19. But I'm curious to see if I can remember to kind of think it in my head is how far into the year will I talk about 2020? And every time I do talk about 2020, if I could notice looking at the calendar, gosh, it's the middle of April and I'm still talking about 2020.
Yeah.
I'm not over it yet. And I want to be over it. I want to look forward. I want to move forward. And that's kind of a segue into what else we were going to talk about, is what a really cool thing it is to be in our industry.
Yeah.
Because we are surrounded by forward thinkers all the time. 100%
Inherently, even
of our
people who-
business
Right.
is forward.
I mean, even people who are generally not forward thinkers, if they're working with us, they are, because they are buying or selling for a reason. Like they are
they're thinking
moving
about what
into
they're
their
doing
future.
next. Yeah.
So even people who in other aspects of their life might not be, are very forward thinking when they're working with us, because that's why you work with a realtor, to move forward in your life in one way or another, to sell, to buy, rent, whatever. So it's such a gift, because you become like the people that you're around. And I think it makes us more forward thinking just by nature of the fact that we have to be.
Yeah. And everything is goal driven. You know how they say you have to write down goals. Well, goals can include getting my mortgage approval, getting through my home inspection, getting my negotiations finished, getting my title cleared, getting whatever, it's
Those
100 things that we have to go through, getting my certificate of
hurdles.
occupancy, and you run into roadblocks. No, there wasn't a fire extinguisher there like we were supposed to, or a smoke detector, or there was a permit open from who knows when that's keeping you from closing. You go, that happened to us 2 days ago. You went to try to do an application for me on a property that we're selling, and you texted me and said, this isn't going to work because there's a permit open.
But that's how you find out.
I thought that was cleared out. I thought the seller told me that was all done. Oh crap. Okay. We got to get on it because we've got a closing coming up, but it's all goal driven. How do we do this and do that? And I love working with people who are, here's what I want, here's what I'm thinking, and here's what my future looks like, and here's kind of what I want for a commute, and here's where I'm going to be going. And
specificity.
I had some clients that I visited with earlier this week, and they're like, well, we've got a place in Connecticut, and we'd love to go up to that. So we want to be on this side of the river now, because it just makes the commute to our weekend home so much easier.
Yes.
And we go every week. So that's 52 times a year that it makes our life easier. So we're wanting to make a shift. So, and I mean, that's a great perspective. I love that. Love that about our business.
Yeah. It's a what's next business.
Yeah. And even talking about our team and our team growth, legitimately, there are 3 of us that are licensed, a fourth licensee coming on within a couple weeks, hopefully 2 to 4 weeks. And that does not include Jay or your mother, because even though she's like 98% into the other stuff that she's doing, the 2% she does.
The 2% she helps on.
It's really incredible. So we have some really cool technology stuff that she just kind of like, why don't you do this? It's like, what's that? It's like, holy cow, can you do that? Yeah. Give it to me. Oh, wait a minute. I'm going to have to learn how to use it now.
Yeah. The learning curve is always.
Yeah, but it's still pretty cool. It's a great lifestyle. And I'm really looking forward to 2021. What are you looking forward to this year?
Yeah. I mean, our business, I'm obsessed. I'm so excited. I'm already doing it though. That's the thing. When we were talking about death of 2020 and talking about 2021 and getting hyped about it, I just keep like improving my resolutions. So the the January 1st thing doesn't really feel like a big deal. Like I went to bed at 8:50 p.m. last night because I was so tired. I was so tired. It was a long day. And I was like, and now that it's New Year's Eve, but I don't have to go and do anything. So I'm going to go to sleep now. Because
that's right. Because you worked all day yesterday.
Yeah. Yes. And working all day today too. Hopefully I can get it all done. But anyway, I'm pumped for 2021 because I'm pumped for just life. I'm just like, I'm so excited. I can see what we're doing with our team. I can see how we're building and growing. And it's constantly this game of like, all right, what is the highest ROI? Where can we take some risks? Putting out a lot of content, doing this podcast. I mean, we're doing this podcast every week and seeing how that goes and what people like to hear and want to talk about. And I love that what we're doing right now is so human. The way that we are approaching our business is so human. Like right now, we're having a super honest conversation, very openly to whoever wants to listen and watch it. And I love that because I don't know a lot of realtors who are doing that online. And we have this angle. We have our super transparent Instagram. We've got our team, and then we work our tails off to do an incredible job for our clients. And because we're so open and human about what's going on, I feel like people can actually see that. They can actually see, yes, that we are working and they are getting better and they are growing and they are doing all that stuff. So I'm just really excited for our journey more than the end goal. You know what I mean? Like I'm so in love with the mountain. I haven't bothered to look at the top yet. You know?
That's awesome.
That's where I feel like I'm at in my life.
I feel like I'm watching a motivational speaker and I'm just like, I wonder if I can be like that.
Peloton, please hire me. I will be your next Peloton coach.
You're on that Peloton a lot.
Not lately, honestly.
Do you do it daily?
I love it. I was, but now because I've got my bedroom painted, and that's where my Peloton was. I've been kind of off of it, and also, yeah, but I love it. I love it. Get some. I get some EDM going. It hypes me up. If I listen to, and then when I'm riding the Peloton, I'm listening to this EDM music, and I'm like, oh my God, I am a huge fan of EDM. This is the best music that has ever been created. I'm so obsessed. And I like while writing, save it in my Spotify. And then after I get off the Peloton, I play it. And any other context, I'm like, oh, this is terrible music. Oh my God. This is the worst. So yeah.
Unless you were dancing.
Yeah.
I think it'd be pretty fun out at
a rave.
Yeah. Is that what they call it?
Yeah.
Why is it called a rave?
Because it's all the rage. I don't know. That's a good question. That's a good question. Anyway, I feel like I didn't ask any of your questions back, and I really wanted to. Do you have any comments that you would like to make about your morning process? Let's take this back dark. Let's go back to the conversation about death and darkness, shall we?
Let's go to morning, MORNING.
Okay.
The morning process, because that's what's.
I never thought that I would be a morning person, and now I'm.
You have been lately.
I know.
I get texts from you early, and I'm like, "Oh, she didn't sleep." And I'm like, "Did you sleep last night?" She says, "Yeah, I slept. I just got up early."
I got up early because I went to bed at 8 p.m. Like, I started dating again because of our podcast, in large part.
Really?
We had the conversation about dating, and I was like, I feel like I'm ready. I took kind of a year off, and I wanted to, change some things. And I am very transparent about who I am. And who I am is a person that goes to bed by 9:30 every night. And I have a lot of negative responses to that. They're like, your smile is great. I'm like, warning, I go to bed at 9:30. And they're like, okay, bye.
Well, I'll tell you, and I think everybody that listens to this will agree. If it's the right guy, he'll do whatever it takes. It's all super easy. Guy's going to be like, no, she's awesome. I don't care what time she goes to bed. I don't care what time she gets up. I don't care how much she works. I don't care.
I I don't know. I feel like those are things that you do end up caring about, but we'll see. That's
They
the other thing.
probably do.
I'm so obsessed with what I do. I work incessantly and I love it. I mean, this week I had clients asking me, are you working on the 1st? Are you working on the 31st? I was like, I mean, I could choose not to, but that sounds so boring. So yeah, I'm working. Call me anytime. And I am glad I made that choice of having way more fun working than not. But
you have some great clients.
I do. I really do. I really do.
Yeah, that's been, and the longer you do this, the better that gets. All of this, everything just seems to get better all the time. Better clients, you're better educated, you work through things better. Everything's good.
But you can show, apparently we can finally see comments on here. And this is my favorite one. Thank you, Teresa. Will do. That came up when you were saying the right guy will be, patient with all of it.
He will. He'll submit.
Listen to your daddy.
And if they don't, if they don't, unless you're wanting something unreasonable, not worth having around. Same thing in reverse.
Of reasonable and
it always moves. That's true.
Yeah, true.
That's true.
I figure worst case scenario, I am going to do the Diane Keaton thing and love my life, love my career. And then when I'm in my 50s, be like, you know what? About time I have some kids and then adopt a couple kids. And I'll like my life no matter what because I am determined to love being alive.
Awesome.
Yay. I really ranted.
I need to be more like you.
No.
I wonder how often.
No.
Want to be like, well, not in every way. There's some things I don't want. Most of the time I want to be like you, but not all the time.
I'm just over here trying to make you proud, Pops.
It's working. It's where your mom and I are obviously really lucky. We had 2 great kids.
I think you were stellar parents. So.
And it would be a blast if we could get Alex to participate in one of these.
Oh my gosh!
And actually,
and be honest,
and want to be on there.
Want to participate and be honest.
No, I don't want him to be that honest because I wasn't that great a dad. So.
Yeah, you recently apologized, and it was really sweet, although unnecessary.
I was such a bad dad.
I don't think you were.
I wasn't the worst.
No.
I mean, it could have been worse. I know that.
You were, I think you were very hard on yourself and striving to be great. And so that inherently came across in the way you parented us. And I think in many ways that was good. I think in many ways that was good for us. It made me way better with people. Like in my financial job, when I was working with registered investment advisors who often had very big egos and were like, hard, critical, and demanded the best from whoever they were talking to. That is kind of how you parented me. And I'm really grateful for that because I could have conversations with them and win business with them because that was a comfort zone for me. I was like, great, this is going to be fun. Let's talk. So I don't think it was bad at all. I think it was very beneficial.
Okay. No, I think it could have been better. From my standpoint.
Okay. You feel bad about it if you want to then.
See, I'm mourning. I'm looking back.
That's true. I see.
That's true.
You can't help it. This is what I'm saying though. You never stop, Yeah. It doesn't go away. It's your first reaction, involuntary, second reaction, voluntary.
All right. So moving along.
Okay.
I think that's enough. I've had enough of us.
Me too. We're the worst. All right. If you watched, I don't know why. Thank you. Bye.
New news. Hopefully we'll have a new studio soon. I'm looking forward to that in 2020.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. What are you looking forward to in 2021? I don't care about the time limit on this thing. I want to hear. I want to hear.
Much that I don't have the same excitement that you do, but I can try.
No, No, that's too much.
I'm
Dad,
really excited.
My enthusiasm is painful for most people, so please don't don't duplicate that.
Pretty
Just
much
be
the same
you,
thing.
man.
I like the way our team is developing, and I like the way our working relationship is developing, and how you're naturally growing into like one half of the business, and I'm naturally growing the other half of the business.
Oh,
And it
like
seems to be working.
complimentary.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
complementary, and I like the way we've kind of decided that this is your area and this is my area,
Yeah.
and you're like, I don't
And
care, whatever you think, you do. That's
I
your
love what
thing. I'm not
you
going to
know.
micromanage it.
Sorry, you know so much about growing and building businesses. And I feel so lucky to be like in a place now where I'm really thinking about all of this as a business, but I don't have the experience you do. And you're so willing to share with me, here's what I've done in past businesses. Here's what I think makes most sense now. And that's a really fun game to play. And,
Yeah,
you know,
it is fun. And I like, another thing I'm excited about is it's just one business.
yeah, as opposed to like the 20 that you were running.
I just never felt like we had a chance to do anything well. It was we were always chasing the next idea, the next little business, the next how do we buy the building, open it, renovate it, get the business started, and hire employees. That startup that's part of what's easy for us. But now I'm excited about taking a really strong basic business model and expanding it, which like the systems that we're starting to use, the new marketing systems that we're bringing in, using some of the tech that your mom's introducing to us.
Yes.
And saying, oh, wow, we can automate that and we can do that. And how do we reach more people? And how do we connect and get people to know us so they know who they're working with? I love that.
It's such a human business. I mean, that's what I was saying earlier too. It's like, yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward if this thing, we confirmed with them this morning that we'd like to capture that space if we can, but I think we have some competition. But if it works out, I'm looking forward to us having an office.
And turning a little ugly space into something beautiful. We got a vision, guys. It's going to be great. I can't wait for you to see it.
So it'll be a great place for our video and podcast stuff. It'll be a great place for our team to operate out of. It'll be a great place to have some clients and people over once in a while. And it's kind of cool because it's warehouse space.
Yeah, it's really cool. We'll show you guys. We'll do like a tour on our Instagram or something. Maybe
we can do a before and after.
Oh, we should do a before and after. Okay, we will also do that. All right. If you guys joined us and listened to this podcast or watched this podcast, please comment below and tell us what you liked or didn't like or want to hear more of, or the kind of conversation that was interesting or not interesting. We don't want to bore you. It's like any conversation. And then if you're watching this, you're part of it. So please comment. Please tell us what you think.
And hey, can I mention YouTube?
Yeah. Go ahead.
One of our struggles here is that we'll end up with between Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn.
We total about 1,000 per.
We'll end up with about 1,000 views on here. But then when we post it on YouTube, like 4. But that's because it's not, because we've already posted it on the formats where people are going to see it. And there's no real reason to go to YouTube, but we're trying to find a way to better utilize YouTube and try to reflect those views, because people judge what they're watching or what they're about to watch by the number of people that viewed it. And if they go to if they see it on YouTube and they're like, oh, only 2 people looked at it, and it's probably you and me.
Yeah.
But then when we look at numbers across all formats, we're at 1,000 or more. And we really wish those numbers would be there. So if somebody out there knows something about YouTube and how we can make that work and still have a live show, and I don't know can we broadcast live on YouTube? We
are currently broadcasting live, but we don't have enough subscribers that they get notified. I mean, so it's a whole thing. But if you know anything about YouTube, or you know somebody who's really good at it, please look us up. We need to pick somebody's brain who's good. Okay. Yeah. Happy New Year!
Happy New Year to you. This is awesome. What a great conversation.
You think so? I think so. And if no one else thinks so, screw them. Just kidding. Please love us. Okay.
Oh, no, not now. I know what you really like.
Okay. Bye. Happy New Year, everyone.
All right, have a happy New Year. Like, subscribe.
Friend
Let us know
and
you're there.
follow.